What's up everybody and welcome to the 20-second Java tutorial. I'm going to be showing you in this tutorial how to fill an array with values. Alright, so you can see here that I already have the scanner imported. Make sure you have that imported. And let's create our scanner object. I like calling it keyboard because that's where I get the information from. That's where I get the input, so we'll use that. Equals new scanner. And remember, it's system input. System.in. Alright, now we want to create the array that we're going to fill. We're going to do, in this video, we're going to do an integer array. Just to keep it simple. And remember how you do the arrays. You want to say the data type, so it's going to be an integer type. And then you want to put your square brackets to show that it's going to be an array. And then you name it. We'll name this numbers. You can name it whatever you want, but you want to keep your name relative to what it's going to be. And then you do it similar to how you did the scanner. You set it to new. And then your data type again followed by the array. Now in here we're going to do the size of 5. We want to put 5 values. Since we know we're going to be taking input to fill the array, let's just make it a small array, and it's only set to 5 values, and that won't change throughout the program. Alright, so to fill the array, we're going to use a for loop. So we'll have for, and then within the for loop, we want to initialize our counter here, and I like calling it I, short for index, and that equals 0. And the reason we have that equals 0 is because we want to start at the 0 index of our array when we're going to fill it. Because remember, arrays start from 0, not from 1. Alright, so our condition, well, as long as I is less than, and we'll do numbers.length. And remember, the dot length is specific to arrays or objects. And when you use the dot length, it returns the value of whatever it is that you called. So numbers is the array here, and then we have dot length. So it's going to return right here, 5. So we could theoretically set this as long as I is less than 5, but say we didn't know the size, or it was an array that could change. We could grow it in size by we're setting multiple values, so you want to set it to just dot length. It makes life simple. And then for our for loop, we want our I to increment each time. Alright, now in our for loop, this is what we want to perform to fill our array. The first thing we're going to have it do is display what it wants us to do, like show the user what we're going to do. So we are going to have it say enter number, and then to make it look good to the user and make sense, we're going to have it right here say like enter number 1, enter number 2, enter number 3. So we want to have it say I plus 1. Because remember, I is going to start from 0 up here, but we don't want this to say enter number 0 because that doesn't make any sense. So we want to say enter number 1, enter number 2. Alright, so after that, we will put our colon here, and then so let me show you what this is going to do. Enter number 1, enter number 2, right down here. And let me add the line real quick. Alright, print line. So that's what we want it to look like. It's going to look like that. Enter number 1, enter number 2, all the way to 5, and then it's going to take input. So in order to get input from it, we need to, within our for loop, we are going to call the array, and then use our counter right here, which is at 0 right here. We're going to use the counter, and then we're going to set it to our keyboard. All right, so what this does is it's going to display this, enter number 1, and then it's going to wait on the keyboard for an integer, and then it's going to place it into the array at whatever index this number is at. So it'll first put it at the 0 index, and then it'll put it at the first index, second, third, and then fourth. And then at that point, that'll be the last index because we're only filling an array of 5 values. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, this for loop right here is going to fill the array. Now, let's have it display the array so we know that it was filled properly. So we'll do one more for loop, same style. You're going to have your counter started at 0. Same thing for the conditions. As long as I is less than numbers dot length, and then we want to increment by 1. And then all we're going to do for this is have it display what value is at that index. So we'll put index, and for this one we'll just have I has the value of, and here we are going to call our array numbers dot, or numbers in the brackets, and then I. All right, let me run this and see what happens here. All right, so you'll see it says enter number 1. So let's enter a random number, 5. Enter number 2, okay, 9, 32, 80, and 65. Now you'll see right here, it says index 0 has the value of 5, index 1 has the value of 9, index 2 has the value of 32, index 3 has 80, and index 4 has the value of 65. To fix this space right here, you'll just want to add this space. All right. And you see, that's fixed right there. So that's basically how you add a value to your array. Let me go over the code real quick one more time. So we have our keyboard here, which you know how to set. Our array, which has the data type in the brackets, followed by the name of the array. And then this is where you just create a new instance of that. And we set the array to a size of 5. Below that, we have our for loop, which we have I starting at 0. This for loop will run as long as I is less than the length of our numbers array. And then we want I to increment by 1 each time that this for loop runs. So in each time that this for loop runs, we want it to display enter number I plus 1. So we want the user to see that it starts at 1, because this would be weird if it said enter number 0, because that doesn't make any sense to us people, because we don't start counting at 0. So enter number 1, enter number 2, all the way through 5. But remember, the index starts at 0, the computer starts at 0, and it ends at 4. All right, and in our second, or right here, sorry about that. All right, so what this line does is it sets the array at this index right here to whatever is entered, whatever integer is entered to the keyboard. And remember, this I right here matches whatever value this I has right here. So it would start at 0 and then go all the way to 4. And then we have our for loop again, same thing. Start I at 0 as long as it's less than the length of the array, and then increment by 1. And then all we did right here was just display the index number and then the value that we entered into it. And again, how we pulled the value of the array was called the array and then had the brackets, and then I, which has the value of here, is displayed. And all that for loop does is run through the array and then display it. So I hope that helps, and it's actually very simple to fill an array. The same thing if you want to do a string or a double, you need to make sure that your array matches your value, your data type. So this would have to be double, this would have to be double, and then for keyboard, you need to make sure that it's next double. And if it's for a string, same thing. You have your data type, make sure your array takes a string. It actually holds strings. And then for your input, you would put keyboard dot next line. So it's the same thing, next int, next line, next double. Depending on what data type you're going to take is what you're going to have. So I hope that helped you figure out how to fill an array with values, and I will see you in the next tutorial.